Good morning, First Unitarian Church. My name is Abbey Tennis. I have the privilege and honor of serving as your lead minister here. And it is really, I'm excited to be back together for our new church year. None of us chose to do it like this. I don't know if any of us would intentionally choose this, except for maybe our extended community outside of Philadelphia who actually gets to be here together. We all get to be together. But here we are. I was looking for a joke to tell because, you know, the world is heavy right now. So I was trying to find a joke to tell us this morning. And this one really hit the nail on the head for me today. So those of you who got vials from outside of our church or who've participated in water communion before know that the water that we bring together in our usual water communion services comes from all 7 continents, from rivers and lakes and mountains and faucets. There are molecules from water from a baby's first bath and the tears of a widow in our water. And in our faith tradition, we consider this water to be sacred because of the stories that it brings together and because of the community that it represents. But it is not potable water. You should never drink this water. We didn't put that on the label, but I wanted to just make sure. Do not encourage you to drink the water. And when I was looking for cheesy water jokes to tell, this is the water that I love the joke that I love the most. How do you make holy water? Kai is my partner, is being like, how? You boil the hell out of it. Thanks for indulging me this morning. I wanted to read a poem from Wendell Berry, the beloved poet and environmental advocate activist. It's called Water. He writes, I was born in a drought year. That summer, my mother waited in the house enclosed in the sun and in the dry, ceaseless wind for the men to come back in the evenings, bringing water from a distant spring. Veins of leaves ran dry, roots shrank. And all my life, I have dreaded return of that year, sure that it is still there somewhere like a dead enemy's soul. Fear of dust in my mouth is always with me. And I am the faithful husband of the rain. I love the water of wells and springs and the taste of roofs in the water of cisterns. I am a dry man whose thirst is praise of clouds and whose mind is something of a cup. My sweetness is to wake in the night after days of dry heat, hearing the rain. His poem begins, I was born in a drought year. That summer, my mother waited in the house enclosed in the sun and the dry, ceaseless wind for the men to come back in the evenings, bringing water from a distant spring. I've been thinking this week about Virginia Erdman Berry, who was Wendell Berry's mother, that he writes about in that poem. Virginia Berry's family had farmed land in Henry County, Kentucky for 5 generations before Wendell was born, 5 generations. And in the summer of 1934, the summer that he was born, they were experiencing the worst drought of the last 1,000 years in that county in Kentucky. She was pregnant with her first child, and the veins of leaves ran dry and the roots shrank. And I think about the lush land around her turning brown and crumbling and dying, and I remember that 1934 was 5 years into the Depression. It was right at the beginning of the Dust Bowl, of those massive dust storms that plagued the Midwest and all the way to us for many years. She was a farmer who was watching her livelihood collapse. And she must have been faced with impossible decisions. Do we leave the family farm that we've farmed for 5 generations, this farm that no longer sustains us, but that is our only asset? Or do we stay but possibly starve. I think about Virginia Erdman Berry this week, and I've been thinking about us now, especially because the only thing that I've ever seen that's even remotely similar to the wildfires and the smoke that are blanketing the West Coast right now are pictures of those dust storms in the 1930s in the United States, where plumes of black dust would rise thousands of feet in the air and float all the way across the country, all the way to the East Coast, to New York City, to DC, to Philadelphia. I don't know about you, but I've been watching pictures on my friends' social media this week of orange skies and screenshots of the air quality warnings in their neighborhoods. Oh, someone's telling me that they can't hear me. Is this a little bit better? Yeah? Okay, great. I've been looking at screenshots of my friends, like maps of their houses with the air quality warnings, and the air quality level of 150 is hazardous to all people, and they're at 600. And I know that this week I've been thinking about air quality and dust and smoke, but I've also been thinking just about COVID-19 and the fear and uncertainty that we feel when all of our livelihoods are at risk. And some of us are already really wrestling to make ends meet. And I've been thinking about the impossible choices that are facing parents and students and caregivers. And I'm thinking about the oppressions that make all of these decisions, choices, circumstances more challenging depending on our race or class or our disabilities. Then and now, there were natural factors and human factors causing these circumstances. Then in 1934, there was a drought, a horrible 9-year drought. Now there is also drought, and now we have this pandemic, this natural disease. But even back then, it was human factors that caused the Dust Bowl as much as the drought, because there had been over-farming throughout a vast swath of the United States. And now we know that human-caused climate change is a huge part of what is making the wildfires so terrible right now. We know that lack of honesty and preparation and failures of policies that could have saved lives are causing many more people to be harmed, to die, to be sick from COVID-19. When I think about Virginia Berry, I think that hope must have been hard for her to find back then. She must have been so worried about her own ability to survive, her family's abilities to survive. She must have been worried about the world into which she was bringing her child. And I imagine her walking through that house with her back aching, probably 8 months pregnant, as she waited for the men to bring the water home, thirsty, dust in her mouth. And I imagine her feeling the future kick inside of her at the same time, announcing its soon arrival. When she was waiting for water, when she was waiting for rain, there was a blessing inside her that was waiting to be born. (1934) was a drought year, and we are in drought times as well, thirsty times. So much of our land is thirsty for water, especially on the West Coast. And our communities are thirsty for justice, our souls are thirsty for company, our bodies are thirsty for rest, our hearts are thirsty for love. And yet something miraculous is waiting to be born here too. It's already inside us. It's already germinating in our minds and in our hearts, in our bodies, our communities. And my friends, if we pay attention, we can feel it kicking. It is close to us, but not here yet. This is a thirsty world where something miraculous is waiting to be born. And my friends, we are called to be the mother. This is a thirsty world where something miraculous is waiting to be born. And my friends, we are called to be the rain. Being the rain, choosing to become rain, means choosing to leave the clouds, choosing to leave that comfortable distance from the pain of the world. And to choose to become the rain from being in the clouds, we have to do three difficult things. To choose to become the rain, we have to trust that others will join us, because if we are just one raindrop, we will not nourish the world the way it needs to. The world needs many raindrops. And we have to trust that we are not going to be alone as we jump. And trusting is hard. To choose to be the rain, we have to fall. We have to fall from our relative safety down into the very heart of a hurting world and to become part of it. And falling is hard. To choose to be the rain, we have to be willing to transform. As we move from vapor to droplet to roof to ripple, if we sink down through the dirt or are taken into the body of an animal, we will never be the same. We will never return to the place we were in. We will be utterly transformed, and transformation is hard. We are called to trust and to fall and to transform. And we are called to become the mother, which, when I think about what it means to become the mother in this poem, in some ways it feels a lot more simple, and in most real ways it is a lot harder to become the mother than to become the rain. Because to become the mother, we just have to feel the kicking of the future. Like Virginia Erdman Berry, no matter how the drought fills our senses and our worries, no matter how devastated any of us are at this moment by illness or heartbreak, by depression, police brutality, economic struggles, climate change, we are called to simply listen within, to feel within, both within ourselves and within our communities, for that miracle that is growing there, that is waiting for the right moment to come out, that is ready to change the world beyond our wildest imaginings. Because what I know, and what you know, is that there is a miracle. There's something beautiful that is germinating in this moment. It's happening right here in my living room and in yours, or your bedroom, or the park where you are. It's happening on Zoom as we look at each other's faces as lit up pixels across this city and these states, this country, across oceans. It's happening in each of our beating hearts. To be the mother, despite our hopelessness, we must stay connected to that beautiful possibility growing within us and be ready to nurture it when it arrives. And to be the rain, like the clouds above us, no matter how difficult it is, we know that we have to trust that we are not alone. We have to fall down into the hurting world and become part of it. And we must transform past recognition. And I think all of us know, like the clouds know that they will someday become rain, all of us know that it is our job to nourish the land and to bring love to the lonely and bring wholeness to an unjust world, bring healing to what is broken. We know that that is our job as humans on this planet. So as we begin this church year together, as you maybe begin a school year or just are looking as forward as the fall begins, I hope that you'll join me in answering this call to be both mother and rain. And if you're looking for a way to take the plunge from cloud to rain, I encourage you really to join me in signing up for volunteer shifts to UU the Vote that we mentioned earlier. Thanks, Jake. Jake had just put the link in the chat again. One mind, me and Jake. I really encourage you to sign up for shifts. Across Pennsylvania, we're trying to get at least 20% of Unitarian Universalists to do some sort of shift, either phone banking or text banking. We might do postcarding. We might do some other kind of voter engagement stuff together, or you can do it on your own. We're really just looking for those of us in this community to make a pledge that we will do it over the next 2 months, because I think every single one of us knows that this election is one of the most important elections of our lifetimes, no matter how old we are. And even though it's not always comfortable to do phone banking, for those of us who don't like talking on the phone, text banking might be worrisome if we're not comfortable with that technology. We know that it matters, and what the world needs right now, what our country needs, is a huge mass of volunteers to make a difference, to reach out and combat the voter suppression and do some voter education so that this is a truly democratic election. What I know from the small amount of phone banking that I've done so far is that it is uncomfortable for me, and it's also hopeful. I've found hope in this small conversations I've had with strangers when I've heard what they care about and what they're worried about and what they want to happen going forward, and been able to connect with them. And I've been hopeful from looking at the people around me we usually do these voter text banks and phone banks on Zoom like this so that we can see each other's faces and ask each other questions so we don't have to do it alone. And so I found that this work is both doing the work of falling as rain and trusting that I'm not alone, and being the mother of finding the hope within the process itself. I hope that many of you will sign the pledge. I hope that we can get at least 50 people from this congregation to sign it. You don't have to be in Philadelphia to do it. Even if you're one of our far-flung people, we would love to have you. As we go forth into this day, may we know deeply within our very bodies that something beautiful is waiting to be born from this moment. May we each find the courage to fall as healing rain on a thirsty world. And like the poet, may each one of us also feel the sweetness of waking up in the night after days of dry heat, hearing the music of the rain. May it be so, and amen.
Hi, I'm Reverend Hannah Capaldi.
And I'm Reverend Abbey Tennis. We are the ministers at the First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia, where our mission is to awaken love and justice in our lives and in the world.
We're so grateful that you watched, and we hope that the sermon connected with your soul.
We also want to invite you to join us for a live worship service every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can always find the link to that service on our website at www.philauu.org. In these services, you'll hear words like you've just heard, and you also get a chance to greet one another, pray together, sing together, and we even hold a virtual coffee hour after services to get a chance to greet some new and old friends.
If you want to support the mission of this community and you feel moved to give, you can do so by going to the website that Reverend Abbey just mentioned. You can find that link below, or you can text 215-709-5095 and follow the prompts to give.
If someone in your life needs to hear these words today, we encourage you to share this video. And again, thank you so much for watching.
We hope to see you soon.